Hello and welcome to video on first step to normalize your datasets. First normal form, what is sometimes abbreviated as 1NF, requires that each of your tables should be for only one specific value and each of columns inside it should contain only one value and there should not be any repeating groups for those columns. Here what we are looking is to remove what is called as multi-valued fields from our tables. These typically show up as a comma-separated list of values that are all stored in a single cell. For an example, in a hospital database, this might look like a list of medications that a patient is currently taking. Or let us say in products table, it might be a list of features or benefits. Maybe let us take a hypothetical example like this. Let us say I begin developing a database for my company and one of my tables is employees table. Initially, it might contain employee ID, last name, first name, and so on. Now, we understand that each of employees are allocated a computer, and I want to keep a track of that. So we will add a computer serial column in this table to keep a track of who is having what computer. Now, this looks okay right now, and this is technically is in first normal form. However, here is the problem. Let us say later on I figure out that some of our employees need a Mac and a PC to do their testing. Others might need a desktop and laptops as well. So several people might have multiple computers and I want to keep a track of all of them. Now there will be a couple of ways how I can track and how can I deal with this problem. I could just start stuffing the extra data into one column. We could start putting commas or vertical bars or any other delimiter and put it in a multiple values in one single computer serial column. Technically, if that column was defined as a character data, the database won't stop you from entering the commas and multiple values in it. But as far as database is concerned, it is still just one value that just happens to have a commas in them. This is just something you just don't want to do in a relation database design. We are violating the first normal form if we are doing this. Using this approach, there can be one value, perhaps there are two in it, or perhaps there will be three computer details in a single cell itself. Under this approach, you would find it hard to search directly a serial number, you would find it too hard to sort, and you would also find it hard to maintain as well. You need to understand that relational database will happily deal with hundreds of tables. Each table could have hundreds of columns and millions of rows, but they do not want to have a columns that have a variable amount of values. Each column and each row should have only one and only one value, and that is the requirement of first normal form. So what we can do now to solve this problem is it to go back to the original way and instead start adding a new columns like computer serial 1, 2 and 3 like this. This is what is called as a repeating group, and there should not be any repeating groups as well. The classic sign of repeating groups of a column is that the column are having the same name and number is tagged at the end of it just to make it unique, and because usually this is a sign of an inflexible design. Sure, you could guarantee that there would be hardly 2 or 3, but that is fine. But what happens if we want to add a tablet and a smartphone as well? What happens when one employee manages testing and needs to be associated with 6 computers? We don't want to require to change the database schema just because we buy a new computer. So what we do here? What we do is the same thing for a lot of these normalization stamps. We will take this data out of the employee table and put it inside in another table of its own. This can then have a relationship in between them. We will create one-to-many relationship between employees and this new computer. It has a foreign key which goes back to the employees table. I can take the employee ID like 684, follow it to the computer table and find the 3 computers. Or let us say I take 475 and identify the 2 computers which are tagged to it. There is no repeating values, there are no repeating groups either in this table, and this would satisfy our first normal forms. So go through all your data tables, check to make sure that they don't be storing any multi-valued data. Create additional tables wherever necessary and remember to link them together using primary and foreign key fields. Once that is done, congratulations. Your database now meets the requirements of first normal form and it is ready to move on to the next step of second normal form, which we will see in next video.